Welcome everybody to a special edition of the October Paranormal Rangers Halloween. How's everybody doing tonight?
I'm good.
Stan, Don.
I'm doing good.
Okay, so I'm using my soap dispenser as to be one of our little props.
That'll work.
Happy Halloween, everybody, and we're so glad you could join us tonight. Tonight's special because tonight is just going to be about ghost stories. And each of us are going to take a few minutes to tell our ghost stories, the ones that we've kept tucked deep down within us that probably shook us up a little bit in our lives. But, but that's just Halloween. So I'm going to start with John Dover. We'll do this alphabetically correct. So, John, because you have Dover for the letter D, you go first.
All right, just like grade school. Okay, I'm going to tell you a nice creepy story. Years ago, we had a rug exhibit at the museum in Window Rock, Arizona. And the Smithsonian brought a bunch of first and second period Navajo rugs to put on display from Washington. So they were put under guard. We had rangers assigned there. We had security people just, they're 24/7, basically. And I don't know if you can hear my evil cat in the background meowing.
You can imagine a black cat in the background.
But she's not black.
Not black.
She just photobombed us.
She's doing the sound effects for Michelle's cat.
Yeah. So anyway, during this time, everything was being guarded, and we had officers making rounds. And during that time, during the day, we had a old woman that came in, and she was just a little bitty thing, all hunched over, and people were complaining about her because they said she smelled like she was dead, like somebody had died and just started rotting. And one of the security guards caught her reaching over the railing of the exhibit and trying to grab fibers off the rug, and pinch it and pull it off. And we had been, there was a lot of concern that some of these rugs might have come from the Long Walk period and that they had been taken off of possible dead Navajos on the way to Bosque Redondo during the Long Walk. So there was a lot of concern about this. And this lady got chased off by the security people. So she went and sat in the main area of the museum. And while she was sitting there, people started coming up to the staff and saying, something smells like it died. Can you go talk to this lady and see what you can do? So the staff basically told her, I'm sorry, ma'am, but you're going to have to leave. And she got up and she basically had a few choice words for them, and she headed out the door. Now, they told us about this incident, and we went to the front area, and the staff there says, oh, she just went out the door. Now, the layout of this place, the door faces to the east, and you make a left-hand turn, and there's a long sidewalk there, about 40 yards worth, and it goes out into a big open parking lot. And so they said she had just turned the corner to that sidewalk. We were running just like 20 yards out to that point. We turned that corner. She was nowhere to be found. And we looked and we looked. There's a wall there. We even climbed up on the wall and looked over the other side, and in case you could high jump and get over that wall. We looked through the parking lot. We looked through all the grounds. There was no place she could have gone. And some people assumed that she was probably a skinwalker. And she had been there to get fibers off of those rugs because they could be used in curses because they came from dead people. And they said that skinwalkers sometimes appear that way to smell like the dead. And so everybody was pretty wound up after that. And we searched for a long, long time. We never found any trace of her. So we had a visitation that day, and just one of those things that you just go, oh, okay, file that in the memory banks, and let's not do this again.
That's a good one, John. Okay, the talking head. I love your effect and how you're looking, Stanley.
Yeah. You want me to start with my story, or are you going to
Yeah,
go
go
to?
ahead. Go ahead. I know we're going out of alphabetic order.
So, one of the experiences I had was I was sitting in an office space with one of the Division of Natural Resource attorneys uh, one morning, and him and I would meet often and go over different legalities of enforcement and stuff. And we were sitting there in his office visiting, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, it was as though there was a ball being bounced right there in his office, and it really caught him off guard, and it was pretty interesting in that particular office building. It's one of the old BIA buildings from going way back in early Navajo history and of the administration. And so I've in that particular building, I have at times, I'm working late hours or early hours, and another time I was there, and as I'm walking down the hallway, I'm hit with this blast of this icy cold air that hits me, and it's hard enough that it's like blows your hair back. But one of the things that it caused was the glasses that I was wearing at the time were affected, as though the entire lens was just shattered or cracked with this crazing, over the entire eyeglasses. So working in that particular building at different times, there's other experiences of chairs spinning around by themselves and things of that nature. So that particular building had a lot of activity, which a lot of them, the older buildings, do have a wide variety of different paranormal phenomena occurring, seeing ghostly apparitions, the apparition of a small child, a girl in dress from the 1930s or something of that nature, in a number of places in that around the administration building. And so that's some of the haunting related things that I experienced.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back 25 years ago. I've been living in this house for about, well, I'd say a little bit more than 25 plus. When I moved into this house, we had to do some refurbishment, and so my husband was gone away on a business trip. And one night I thought he was coming home late, and I hear this boom, boom coming up, and we didn't have carpet on our wooden stairs because we were refurbishing. And I thought, man, he's really noisy. And it sounded like a pair of boots, coming up the stairs.
Yeah.
And our main bedroom was on the first floor. But I was sleeping upstairs on the second floor. My kids were like little toddlers at the time. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I was fast asleep. And I heard the door open. And, my husband must be home early from his trip. And then I got this sense of, doesn't sound like him. And I heard this heavy breathing over me, as I lay there in my bed. And it was like really heavy. And there was no smells associated, thank goodness. And this entity was heavily breathing, and I could barely open my eyes. But when I did, there was this faceless cowboy hanging over me. And I was like, holy, and I, and in my mind, I'm going, oh, Jesus Christ, protect me, protect me. and I go, who are you? And he goes, my name is Dan. And I, in a very deep voice, and I go, well, Dan, I am so tired. I want you to go to the corner of my room. And he didn't move. And so I directed him in the name of Christ. And I hope no one gets offended, but that's my story. And I directed, and I go, you will go stand in the corner until I have a good sleep, and we'll talk in the morning. And he stayed there in the corner till morning.
Wow.
And he stood there, and I could see his chaps, everything. And then I told him, well, you're going to have to go because I don't want to deal with you at this point. And he like faded into the wall.
Wow.
And throughout the years, my children would come, mom, there's this guy, he has cowboy boots and he has a cowboy hat, and he keeps coming to me at night. So I had to do, Native American smudging, which we did, and have bring in somebody who could bless the house, because it was a newer house to us. And so throughout the years, Dan would hang out our house, and he would go to the basement, he'd go to my kids' rooms. And one time he appeared in remember those huge televisions that used to have that stood on the floor?
Yep.
We had gotten one for the Olympics. I don't know why my husband bought it, but he did. And my oldest son came up running upstairs, and he goes, Mom, there's a pioneer family inside our TV.
Oh, wow.
And I go, where? And so we run down, and there was a pioneer family sitting in the middle of the TV with a fire. They were all sitting around the fire, and I could see Dan. And I said, oh, that's Dan. It must be his family.
Oh, wow.
And so we kind of adopted Dan in a way until my kids got older, and my son was getting woken up by this entity quite a bit. And so he banned him to outside. And it wasn't until a year and a half ago, I was looking out of my second floor window where he had first appeared to me. And it was at dusk. And you know how the sun comes through when it's dusk, that little ray. Yeah. And I looked over there, and something told me, he tipped his hat like that, and he waved goodbye. And no longer we have Dan in our home. Oh. He's gone.
Darn.
Strode off into the west, into the sunset.
Yeah, he did. Not on a horse.
Well, Stan was talking about a lot of those old buildings.
Yeah.
And I know of, there were two housekeeping people, a man and a woman, that were cleaning a building. And, they were working. The gal was working in the front, the guy went in the back. They were doing all their vacuuming and sweeping and everything else. And the building is a 2-story building. And the woman saw what she described as a Anglo woman wearing a long white gown. And that woman was up on the landing of the second floor where the stairs come down. and she turned to the side, put her arms out from her side, turned sideways, and fell through the railing to the floor. And the housekeeper screamed, and she thought she witnessed a suicide, and she's screaming her head off. And the other guy came running and says, "What happened?" And she says, "Somebody just threw themselves off the balcony and to the ground here." And they went over there, and there was nobody there.
Yeah.
To this day, those housekeepers will not work after dark by themselves. They will not. They just said, that it's not worth me, anything to me. I'm not going to do it. So they work only during the day now.
Yeah.
So, Stan, do you have any more other stories?
With John and I having investigated paranormal all these years, I think, there's something, whether it's our aura or chi or whatever you want to describe it, where we become kind of identified by different phenomena as being open to understanding these kind of things and not being afraid of it and just taking in the experience. And so these kind of events and incidents tend to gravitate toward us, even today, whether it's coins appearing, and falling on the floor, or the sightings of UFOs or things like this. And a couple of weeks back, I'd called John and told him about an incident where I was driving home from my sister's. I had been over there doing yard work and things like that all day, and we had went to dinner late that evening, and it had got dark, and so I was driving back home, and I was taking a back road. The back road is paved, but I was about halfway on that back road back to the house, and as I was driving, another vehicle, oncoming vehicle, came around a corner, and it was really aggressively flashing its lights. And my lights were already dimmed, so I couldn't, I know it was my light. So, but there are livestock and people at times on that particular road late. And so I slowed down and expecting to see livestock coming around the corner. And as I come around the corner, there was someone walking on the side of the road, on my side, on the right side of the road. And but this person was well over 6 foot tall, maybe 6.5 foot tall. And even though they were that tall, they appeared like in a hunched over manner. And so I hit my bright lights. And whatever this was, or whoever this was, turned to me and looked directly at me as I went around the corner. And if you've seen the vampire movie Nosferatu, which is an individual take on basically Dracula, the Dracula story, and but this entity looked exactly like the image of Nosferatu with the teeth, and this thing had big eyes, and so yeah, it was really surprising to see this. It could have maybe been somebody in Halloween costume, but for them to be up over 6 foot tall and walking on the side of the road there in the middle of the night. Around here, you probably wouldn't want to do that for the risk of being shot at, So, but I witnessed this, and then me and John talked about it, laughed about it, and it's just one of those paranormal things you chalk up, to an experience. So.
I think we laugh. I think we laugh about things because it's a coping mechanism, because we were like, okay, did I really see that? Did that really happen? And that reminds me, when I lived in the Bay Area, when I first got married, that was 1986. My husband and I ended up going to a dinner at his grandparents. They lived in the hills of Oakland. And we went up there and we were getting in our car. And as we were getting in a car, we saw this woman waving us to her like this. And I said, oh, somebody must need our help, because, when you're young, you want to help people and you're naive and stuff. So he started up the car and he pulled right next to her, and I about to roll down my window. I have never seen the most evil person, and she laughed. I mean, she had this evil laugh and started laughing at us like,
Wow. Yeah.
And my husband was like, roll up the car, roll up the window, not the car, but the window.
Oh my God.
And he goes, don't look at her. And I couldn't help it. And she was over there. It was the most evil thing I have ever seen. And we did not even talk to each other on the way home.
Wow.
That was kind of like your 6-foot person, but I do remember that one. I know we have.
So me and Stan got to travel to Scotland to Stirling for the Stirling Paranormal Festival, and we were invited to go there to speak. So we're staying in this little small cottage, and the cottage had been built in the 1850s. And while we're in there, we're in a room, 2 little narrow beds, and the lights went out. We're getting ready for the next day, and I'm laying there. I'm wide awake, so I'm looking around, but the room is dark. And off at the bottom of Stan's bed, I see a human figure rise up and stand there and then walk toward the head of his bed and walk through the wall. And then as I'm laying there, I hear Stan say, John, are you still awake? And I says, yeah. And he goes, something just sat down at the corner of my bed and then got up again. And I told him, yeah, I saw it get up and walk through the wall. We checked with the staff there the next morning, and they were just like, oh yeah, we got ghosts here. This place is haunted.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but we went right back to sleep. It was no big deal.
No biggie.
I think when something shows up at your hotel room, which happened to me recently when I was in Colorado, and I thought it was a worker, and he wanted to come in. He says, well, you got to prove who you are. I go, well, the only way I could prove it is I do have a key to get in. He goes, well, I could let you in, but I need to know that it's you. And I didn't know where that guy came from. And so as soon as he says, well, you got to go back down and get a new one. And he had a name tag that didn't have a name on it. I thought it did, but it didn't. And it felt like he was from another time period. And when he left, it was like he vanished. I was like, where did you go?
As long as he didn't have a hook on his hand.
Yeah, exactly. And I went downstairs and I asked the staff downstairs at the front desk, I said, do you have a guy who's security? Our security doesn't come in till late night. And no, the guy is Asian who runs that floor in housekeeping. And I said, well, I described this gentleman. He goes, no, we don't have anybody like that. So that was a little unnerving.
I think our time is just about up here.
Oh, I know. It goes so fast, but thanks for
and we have so many stories.
Oh yeah.
We could tell it forever, I'm sure.
We'll have to do Halloween part 2.
Yeah. Get us around a campfire.
That's right. That's right. Well, we thank everybody for being here. We thank our audience for our participation, and we hope you enjoy these short story ghost stories from the Paranormal Rangers. Have a great night.
And have a pleasant Halloween.
Have a safe Halloween.